Hi guys, this session is for the interview prep for FAANG, as you would have already gotten the intro from the Guvi team. So I would like to basically just start with introducing myself. With the self-introduction, I would give a little info. So I am a 21 graduate, 2021 graduate from a tier 3 college from Delhi. Uh, did 3 internships spanning 12 months in the college. So I joined Cisco in January 2021 as an intern, 6 month spring intern. So they had selected only 36 candidates from India. So I was one of them. Post which I got the appreciation from my whole org in Q3, which converted to a PPO. Post which I joined Cisco in August as an software engineer, full-time software engineer. In Jan of 2022, I joined Amazon as an SD1. And I'm currently working there in the last mile org as an SD1. It's been something about 1.5, 1.7, 1.6 years here. And I'm working in the product where, like, if you go to logistics.amazon.com, that is the whole product which is owned and maintained by us, which basically maintains the ownership of all the delivery executives that you see coming to your doorsteps for deliveries. In the last few months, I was considering a switch, and I have given interviews with Google, Uber, and some other startups as well. And I fortunately have cracked all of them. Uh, but currently, due considering the situation of the market, I have decided not to switch, as you would have all been aware of the situations there. So that was a little about me. Coming to the agenda of the this session, we will be talking firstly about the resume building, and post which this resume building is not that the structure of the resume, or because I am sure that everyone in this meeting is already aware of how to build a resume, or already have a resume. So I'll not be talking about the core concept of resume. It's just the tips and tricks which I have gathered in my 3 years of experience of applying and giving interviews to different FAANG tech companies. So post which how we will be reaching out to recruiters and going to the interview preparations. For example, you have already have got an interview, and you are preparing for the the face-to-face rounds. So what things that you should do and do not do, and for so that you can up level yourself to the to ace the preparation and get the job opportunity. Secondly, before that, how to ace an OA, because online assessment is currently in the virtual scenario, is very common, and we should crack the OA before going to the interview prep, and that is where there are different tips and tricks that you should all consider for acing the OA. And one small note here is competitive coding uh, is not required to ace OA. I personally have not done a lot of competitive coding myself, but I have still cleared most of the online assessment that I've taken. After that, we'll be going to the things to keep in mind during the technical interviews and things to keep in mind during the non-technical interviews. So non-technical interviews are as important as technical interviews when you're talking about companies which are multinational companies. So their non-tech interview was equally having the same weightage as the technical interviews. So we should not be taking it as a backseat. We should also keep focus on that as well. So let's start uh, with the resume building. So as you would have all been aware of that, we should be keeping the resume under one page. So, and like this is not a hard and fast rule, because if you are a 25 years experienced person in the industry, obviously your resume cannot be under one page, but then it should be in the like descending order of importance and relevance, right? So if like for these uh, meeting, all of the people which are here are mostly from the college and freshers. So you will not have the work history of a two pager. That is when it is necessary that this your resume should be under one page. Why I'm saying this is because the FAANG company recruiters get thousands of applications for a single job opening. They do not have time, obviously. So they average out to be spending out only 10 seconds on one resume, and that is after the it has already been scanned through the readers of the, because like if they are for example you're applying to SD opportunity for the backend role, then recruiters would have scanned the all the resumes with the backend as a keyword, engineering as a keyword, projects as a keyword, GitHub, LinkedIn, these all things will be as keywords. This is scanned through the computers, after which like for example thousands of applications were there, 99% of them are only skimmed by the computers, then remaining ones are scanned by the recruiters manually. And that is where the one page will help you a lot, because if in 10 seconds most of the things can be covered in one page, if the highlighting is done correctly, right? Now while we have to keep the resume very very professional and formal, we also have to keep it as an eye appealing. For example a dual toned color, like I've mentioned in the picture here. This picture is not the truest form of representation of the ideal resume, but this is for the dual tone which I've put here. Your resume should be in the dual tone color. It should not be the like the legacy resumes that you have seen that only like mentions in black font and sorry, in the black color with the white background. It's little old nowadays, so we should be keeping it dual toned and with the professional yet classy font. For example, DM Sans is one of those resume which I use with one of those fonts that I use. It's and you should not be like too much fancy on the resume, like not putting like very very different and fancy fonts. That is not professional. Coming to the third point here is we have to basically highlight all the important parts. uh, why I'm saying this, like for example I've mentioned 10 seconds is the average time the recruiter will spend on that. In 10 seconds you have written 500 words on your page. He will not read 500 words. He will just read the bold words, italic words, underline words. If there are some links, he'll open it. That is what he'll do. So even if your resume does not have lot of data worth highlighting, but you should still highlight all the important things, because that is the only thing the recruiter will be reading or skimming through. This is not the recruiter does not have time to go through all the 500 words of the one page, correct? So I've given here an example. If you are a fresher, then you should highlight your college. If you are from a tier 1 tier 2 college, you should highlight your grades if you are like having more than 8 CGPA. And if you are an experienced professional, you should highlight your job profile and your company name. For personal projects, highlight the tech stack. For example, if your project was a MERN stack, then if you use Express.js in backend, if you use React.js in front end, even if this is a singular stack, or you're using Firebase altogether, you should mention each and everything that you have done, and that should be in the bold, because you'll be doing the same thing when you will join the company. So you should give the indication to the recruiter that I can do these things, I have done these things, and I've learned all these tech stacks, right? So this is the aim, to basically convey more in less. That is where the correct highlighting comes into the picture. Going to the fourth point, like I mentioned, we have to keep it in the descending order of relevance. For the freshers who are on this call, your first section should be education in case you do not have internships. If you have internships, put the work history on the top, because like obviously English is a left to right language and top to bottom. So recruiters will start from top left, then go to the bottom left, then go to the top right, the bottom right. So if you divide the resume into 4 sections, so your top left should be the most important section. For freshers, it is the work history in case of if you have internships. If you don't have any internship, you should put education on the top with your grades highlighted if you are having more than 8 CGPA, like I mentioned, right? So, and coming to the fifth point, this is a very, very important point that I personally have taken many interviews in Amazon and given multiple interviews, and this is one of the most important thing which I have realized, that you put your contact information on top. That is very standard. But what you can do is put your profile, your current company, and your years of experience on the top, so that the recruiters just can skim through that line and decide whether to filter your resume or not. That will what will do is you are basically giving them a kind of a lead on the top. For example, Java developer, you're working in Cred with four years of experience, so that you should mention on the top. Like for example, in this picture, the person has mentioned software engineering on the top. So it is okay. You should mention whatever your profile is, but if you just extend it to what current company you're working in, with whatever months of or years of experience you have, or if you have some technical background, you should mention it there. Now the important links. So basically, if you are a software engineering, your all your data will be on the GitHub profile. All your data will be on the your projects will be on GitHubs, or if you use different hosting platforms, and the person can review your whole professional background on the LinkedIn profile. So you should mention all those links. It's very, very relevant to your the positions. If you are applying for software engineering, that you should mention your GitHub profile links and all the project links. If it is a live link, then you should put out the live project link. And if it is not a live link, you should mention the GitHub profile, the repository of the project. For experienced professional, then you should add the product links. For example, I'm an experienced professional. I will be mentioning logistics.amazon.uk, .com. These are all products that I maintain. So I'll be mentioning that, right? Let's move ahead to the next part of the session, which is the interview prep, the do's and don'ts of the interview preparation. Let's first focus on what things we should do, and then we'll go to the things we should not do. This is particularly for that time when you have the interview in your hand, let's say 1 month in the future, and you're preparing for company. This is for that time. So for example, you have cracked an online assessment, and your recruiter has placed an interview call after 1 month, 20 days to 1 month. Then what you should do is, during this time, you should focus all your energy on going through the online resources of the previously asked questions, because company do not really have a lot of time to create new question banks. Like talking personally about Amazon, they have a specific question bank from which only I can ask the questions from the interviewees. So I think candidates should leverage that, because a lot of people put out their questions that that they've been asked in their companies in different platforms, and you should just go to this different platforms and gather around the questions that have been asked, so that if the same question comes in, you should be on the top of it, correct? So we should leverage on the time constraint of the companies, right? Second thing is mock interviews. I cannot really uh, put enough pressure on this point, that mock interviews are one of the best thing that you can do during your preparation. This mock interviews should come into the picture when you are having like 1 week left in your interviews and you have prepared the questions, your concepts are strong, your whatever questions you have prepared are done, you are in the revision phase, then you should go ahead with the mock interviews. The mock interviews can be done with your friends who are in the working in the tech, or who have some interview experience prior to this. Any and there are some platforms who offer mock interviews as well. You can go there and book a slot for yourself. So mock interviews are very, very important, and whatever feedback you get from there, please work on that, so that you'll not be facing the same problem in actual interview. Correct. Now this third point is practice thinking out loud. Now we'll be talking much more about it in the things to keep in mind section, but I'll just talk briefly here also. So most people who are coming as a fresher may not have the interview experience, or may not have the confidence to speak to a senior, or they have not practiced that enough. So what they do is, the question is given to you and you're just cramming your solution, thinking about it, but and just when you get the solution, you write about it, and it is like a 30 minutes of silence in the interview. That is a very, very, very negative point, because that 30 points will break the connection between you and an interviewer. And in that time, basically, it basically lowers the interest of the interviewer as well. So and the second thing is, if you are thinking out loud and you're near the approach, the person will give you an hints, right? So for example, if the person does not know which solution you are working on, for example, the correct solution is binary search, and you are thinking in the terms of recursion or some sorting techniques, different techniques, then the person, how would he help you? But if you know that, like, you're talking about, I'm thinking in terms of binary search, then the person can give you a hint, "Mhm, maybe that is the correct solution," something like that. And that is where you can leverage this and capitalize on that. So thinking out loud will help you very, very immensely. So during the preparation time, I would request all of you to practice thinking out loud, because this is uh, like a golden rule of giving interviews in any companies. Coming to the fourth point, it is, you should connect with the engineers on different platforms. And if, for example, if you have some alumni network, or if you have some LinkedIn network, just connect with these people and ask if they have some interview experience, tips and tricks in the company. Like, for example, there are some companies which are very rigid about their interview. For example, Google's interview are very, very time constrained. For example, it is a 45 minutes tech interview. In 46th minute, the interviewer will just leave, and if you spill over that time, that he will mention that in your feedback, that the person took 2 minutes extra. So that kind of feedback that you should get from the engineers who are already working on this in these tech companies, so that you'll be aware of the situation when going into the interview. Or you can ask about the important topics. For example, talking about Uber. Uber asks a lot about the infra-based questions. Because their whole infra is based on open source, so they will ask a lot about the infra-based questions rather than the core DSA. Google will ask a lot of questions on DP and competitive coding. Amazon will ask a lot of questions on trees and general recursion and graphs. So these things you can just connect with the engineers who are working here, and get your these questions skimmed out before going out into the interview. So next point is, and this is a very, very important point. Maybe it is listed at and the fifth point, but it is as important as others. Don't skip the basics. So I'll tell you one instance where I was interviewing one of the candidates, and she was very, very she did the solution in 15 minutes. It was a basic question, and she did the solution in, it was a BFS solution. So she implemented the solution. When I asked her about the time complexity, she went blank, because she did not know how to compute the time complexity of BFS. And 15 minutes of the solution, and she took 20 minutes in analyzing the time complexity and space complexity of BFS. And that is a very, very, very negative sign. and this simply gives the impression that you are cramming the solution, but your basics are very weak, right? So your basics should be the strongest part, like your in this time complexities, space complexities, thinking out loud, and implementing a solution on a whiteboard. These all of these things are basics, and like if you're interviewing in a tech company like Amazon, Google, Uber, it is very much expected from you that you should know all the basics. If you have cleared the uh, online assessment, then it is very like a given thing that you are better than most, and that implies that your basics are very strong. So I cannot pressure on this point more. Please don't skip the basics, and keep revising these basics from time to time. Sixth, but not the least important point, is always make notes. So most of the people in tech industry I've seen, they do not make notes. But personally, this is from my experience. I make notes of every question that I do, and I write down the space complexity and time complexities. Even if I'm not preparing, if I'm just doing some contest for fun, I still write down the approaches and the time complexities, space complexities, anything new that you have learned, or if it is a greedy approach, then the notes will help you a lot. When you are going to the interviewer, you just have 2 days of revision, then these notes will come in handy, and will help you a lot. Like for personally, from for me, these notes have immensely helped me in all my interviews. So please always make your notes when you are doing the preparation. This is not only about the DSA. All like if you are preparing for a let's say the first round, then they might ask you some core concepts of software engineering, like operating systems, DBMS, networking. All of these things are also like as important as DSA. So your notes should also be present for all these topics. So once your interview preparation is done and you're revising, uh, like these notes will be one of the best things for you. Now we are through with the do's of the interview prep for FAANG. Now come the don'ts of the interview preparation for FAANG. Now, one thing which I've seen with one of my colleague who was preparing for a switch, he was like in love with recursion, as we some of us are. So he spent like 2 weeks, like he did 60-70 questions on recursion out of the 30 days that he had for whole preparation. Now, it I can understand that if a person is like loving a topic too much and he's spending too much time in it, it's okay. But the thing to understand here is the companies are having 3 interviews, and ideally they would be asking 2 to 3 questions in each interviews. So it's 7-8 questions are there. Even if you consider like 50% are from recursion, which will they will not be, but if you consider it, that's the maximum you can go, then also 4 questions will come from topics other than recursion, right? So all the topics should be equally distributed in the timings. Now one thing to notice here is, for example, you're preparing for Amazon. It may happen that you are spending more time on trees and graphs than other topics, which it is understandable because most of their questions will be coming from there. But if you're not aware of the company's important topics, then you should be equally distributing the time in different topics, whether it is DSA or not DSA. But you should not like consider that, okay, uh, I am very confident on recursion, but you keep doing recursion in the half of the time of preparation. That is a very bad approach in my mind. So your planned time of across all the topics in the descending order of relevance will help you a lot. So second thing which I've highlighted here is don't let ego take over. For example, you come across one question and you do attempt that question. For example, it is a single greedy approach question that you have seen in the some of the interview prep archive of Google, let's say, and you attempted that question, but you were not able to solve it in the first go, second go, or third go. But now it's the time to see the solution, because the preparation time for interview is limited. You're not preparing for 6 months, right? The interview time preparation is very limited. You should spend it very judicially, and don't let your ego take over. If you're very strong in greedy approaches or DP approaches, and you're not able to solve a DP problem from Google, don't let your ego take over. After 3 attempts, it's an indication that you should learn and see the solution. That is exactly how you learn. A new thing comes, you're not aware of it, you learn. This is how a person grows. Correct. So third point is, this is a very important point. During this virtual rounds, before the virtual round, what happened is, you will visit on site on the campus. For example, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, they would invite you in their Hyderabad or Bangalore campus, and you would be writing the solutions on the whiteboard. Now, the thing to notice here is, very like people like you and me who have graduated in the virtual times are not really aware of the whiteboarding or writing the solutions on Google Docs or on the uh, any of the doc platforms. So the difference here is, for the IDE, there is an auto completion thing, right? If you just write an int, it will complete it to integer for Java and something like that. So, and for example, you're writing the name of the variable, it will auto complete for you. Many things are there which IDE will solve for you. But they will not be there in the whiteboarding or on the Google Docs, right? So during the preparation, what I suggest to all of you is, don't skip, just don't write all the solutions on ID. Once you are done writing the solutions on considering like you are just 10 days before the interviews, start moving to whiteboards or start moving to Google Docs for your preparation. That will help you a lot. I have personally done this, and so one thing to notice here is, in IDs there is a 4 space indentation, right? So, for example, if you do enter, and it will just and take you to the next line after the 4 spaces, after the braces. That will not happen in the Google Doc, right? A Google Doc is not an ID. Correct. So you should practice on that, and like your solution with ID or without ID should look exactly the same, with the same indentation, with the same like not having any compile errors, and your bracket balancing, naming conventions, that should be exactly same with or without ID. And that is and very important thing that you can do before the interviews. So that is on the don'ts of the interview experience for interview prep for FAANG. So guys, we had discussed on till the interview preparation do's and don'ts. Now our next item on the session is to how we can ace the online assessment. OA is basically online assessment. It is the first part of the uh, like I have mentioned here. The process of the interviews are, first we get the online assessment. The initial part is basically the resume screening, post which the candidates shortlisted are given an online assessment. The candidates who clear the online assessment are given a phone screening. This phone screening round is optional. It is present in Google and Uber, as far as I know, but it's not there in all of the companies. Now, technical face-to-face F2F means face-to-face round. It can be either virtual or on-site depending upon the situation. For some companies, they invite you to their campus, and for others, you can just join their meeting and have a face-to-face call on any Chime or Microsoft products. So, or Zoom call. So And then there is a non-technical face-to-face round, which ideally in most cases is just one round, but it can also span up to two rounds. As I've also seen it spanning up to two rounds. So this is the whole process. Next thing on our plate is how we can ace the online assessment. First, basically, we have to understand what is the structure of the online assessment. It usually is kind of if you're applying for a specific to this FAANG companies, DSA is a very important part of the online assessment. You would be getting ideally three questions in 1.5 hours or 1 hour, and they will be in increasing order of difficulty and increasing order of marks as well. So the person who does solve all the questions, uh, the marks will be distributed. For example, it will be 30 for first question, 60 for second question, and 90 for third question. And the similar order will be for the difficulty. There can be non-DSA questions as well. If there are, for example, you're applying to Cisco. Cisco usually asks networking questions, DBMS questions, the operating system questions as well, in form of MCQs, or they can give you direct questions where you have to write the like 100 words essay kind of thing. This is what I've seen in the recent times. Now, honor assessment is very, very time critical, as we have, most of us would have given it. They would be aware that OA is very, very time specific and speed specific. Then, like, for example, you have to solve three questions in 1 hour. It's comes down to who can type faster, who can think faster, and who can solve the problems faster. So in this point, I would suggest you all to once you solve the problem on the paper, you should be able to translate that to code very fast without any compilation errors, and that can only come with practice. You have to give like regular contests on various sites, and if you're like joining Guvi, they would also have these mock tests before the interviews. So they would also help you a lot in the online assessment, actual online assessment, where speed and time is very critical. So my suggestion to you will be conduct regular tests and don't miss any of these tests. So that will help you a lot in actual OA. Second is start with an easy question. Like I said, that there would be, if there are three questions, then it would be easy, medium, hard. Then, or obviously, you have to start with the easy question, because for one, it will be giving you confidence that the test can be started. And the second thing is we have to finish that in minimum time possible. So the first question, being easy one, will be completed in very less time. So then you can focus on the medium and hard questions. So my suggestion would be always to start with the easy question. That is ideally it is the first question, but you might have to skim through the three questions, four questions, to find out the easiest one to start. Now, one of the most important things that I've seen in my online assessment is the solution does not have to be the most optimal. Like ideally, obviously, you have to solve the problem in most optimal solution, so to get the maximum marks. But if you are not able to get the optimal approach and you're running out of time, write a brute force solution. Partial score is still better than zero. Right? So for example, let's say your solution was from could be solved by DP, that is the ideal approach, and you're not able to form the exact formula and convert it into DP, or you're running you're getting some runtime errors there and you're running out of time, just try and write down the recursion approach. uh, that would also not be the ideal approach. You will not get the full marks, but whatever marks you get, 20-30% is still better than zero. So they have all of the test cases are not designed for the optimal solution. Maximum test cases are designed for the optimal solution, but 20-30% marks you can still get for the non-optimal approach as well. So don't lose out on the marks just because you could not think of optimal solution. Right? Tied up to this thing is always think of the corner cases. In online assessment, when you go to different platforms, the company conduct online assessment in different platforms, the test cases are designed that 20% of the test cases are always corner cases. For example, if you're getting in the argument, you're getting a integer n, that your first of all, it could be negative integer, it could be a zero, and you have to consider and you have to write the solutions that if I'm getting a zero, then directly I have to return this, it is a corner case. If I'm getting a negative number, I have to return this, it is a corner case. So 20% of these test cases are just corner cases. So just starting out with a solution, always write the corner, handling the corner cases on the top of the code, so that even if your solution does not work, the corner cases marks you can still grab, right? So because corner cases will not be a very heavy load questions, even if your solution is not optimal, but still, if you are writing the corner cases, it would be a very uh, order of one kind of thing. So you would be getting these straight away marks from there. So don't lose out on the corner cases points. So the last point here is take hints from the constraints. This is a very important thing that I have learned in my recent online assessment, because we have to see that input that we are getting and the time limit of the output is actually linked. For example, if you're getting an input which is of the order 10 raised to power 18, it is a long integer. It's pretty obvious that the expected output will be order of log n, and expected order of it is log n, then you have just 2 to 3 approaches for this. It can be either binary search, or you can go in the BST direction. So it is a very like easy thing that you can do if you get these kind of hard constraints. So always go through the constraints before jumping to the solution. So this will help you save your time in thinking on all the different kinds of solution, to narrow down to specific 2 or 3 types of approaches which can lead to the log n approach, for example, in this case, right? So the next item on our agenda is the things that you have to keep in mind during the technical interviews, and the things you have to keep in mind during the non-technical interviews. Right now, what this whole process, we have built the resume, we have cleared the online assessment, we have prepared for the interviews, and now we have the actual date of the interview. Right now, the things we have to keep in mind while doing the giving the interviews, it's very important that you create a good impression. And creating a good impression does not mean that you have to solve all the problems, because that is implied. If you solve all the problems, then it is pretty obvious that you have cleared the round. But even if you're not able to clear all the problems, there are some tips and tricks that you can use to create a good impression, right? First thing here is think out loud. This is like probably the third time I'm talking about it. Think out loud is very important. That if you're near the solution, the interviewer will be able to give you some hints. If you're thinking out loud, there is a conversation going between you and an interviewer, and it is not an awkward silence of 30 minutes in the interview, right? And it's kind of like a skin in the game for the interviewer as well. He's also involved in the process. He's also thinking with you, and also with like if you have enough practice of giving the interviews, you can pick up hints very fast from the any small things that interview said. There are some hints in all of them. So if you are thinking out loud, there's a conversation going on, it is a very high chance that you would get some hints from interviewer. Correct. Second thing is never interrupt the interviewer. This is tied up to the first is, because the interviewer, it's like if it is an hour-long discussion, you would be driving the discussion. You would like 55 minutes of the time you would be talking, and he'll be listening, right? But on those 5 minutes, you should not interrupt the interviewer. The interviewer is trying to help you, because they are also invested in the process. They have invested money for this interview. They want the candidate to get hired. So they will give you hints. Like most of the interviewers will give you hints. So always listen carefully to the interviewer. Do not interrupt whatever. If you're not agreeing with the interviewer, don't say it, right? Let him or her continue, because it can happen that, for example, for a question there are 2 to 3 approaches, but the interviewer is pressing on one approach because he or she may be more interested on the specific approach. You have to get it out of him or her, that what approach is she expecting, is he expecting, and that is where you should build your approach. correct? So you should not never interrupt the interviewer, whatever be the case. So third thing is keep the intro short, because for, like I said, for Google it is a 45-minute discussion, and it 45 minutes includes everything, like your uh, starting from the intro, outro, the question paces, the discussions, the writing the solution, running the solution, everything is in that 45 minutes, right? So you should spend your time judicially. And obviously, the intro, if it is in, like you have given the resume to them, the interviewer has read your resume, there's not much that you can share in the interview right now. Just keep your interview, the intro to from which college you are coming, or if you are experienced professional, which company or product you are coming from, and where do you stay. If it's not that important, but it builds an informal connect. So just three things should be enough, and your intro should not exceed 2 minutes. Uh, in my experience, Google interviewers mostly do not even do their introduction to save time, and that is exactly what you should do as well. But just to formulate the process, 2 minutes of introduction is more than enough. Correct. Fourth point in this things to keep in mind in the technical interviews is always clarify questions and constraints beforehand, because it happened with one of my colleague that the he like the question was presented, he jumped to the solution, did the solution, and it was not running, it was having some issues. And then the interviewer said that this is a catch, like this approach will not work because there is a catch, which should have been clarified beforehand during the interview, but it wasn't. And that is where he lost all his marks of the interview. So before jumping to the solution, always clarify all the different scenarios, all the different test cases, all the different constraints, whatever comes to your mind. There is nothing called a bad question. Just ask every question that comes to your mind, and then only jump to the solution. Correct. Now the last point here is always ask relevant question in the outro. I've seen that the people who have cleared, like completed with the interview, they just leave after the interview is done. uh, I think this is where you should capitalize and talk to the interviewer informally, and get some some of your doubts cleared before leaving the interview. So you can ask about his or her experience with the company, team that they work on, tech stack which they use, and if they have any action points or feedback that you can use in your further interviews. And that will also give you a hint that if they are impressed with you or not. And that is where like I have been using this trick for quite some time, and it is working very well for me. So these relevant questions in the outro will give you like a very good impression after leaving so the interviewer will be uh, having a connect with you. So that is a very, very important thing, that you have to ask relevant questions in the outro. Coming to the things to keep in mind during the non-technical interviews. So as we discussed that there is a one or two non-technical interviews which happen at the end of the whole interview cycle. They're as important as in technical interviews, because non-technical interviews in the different FAANG companies hold as important, has same weightage as the technical interviews, because they have to basically judge your character and judge your personality and decision making skills. And this is exactly where the non-technical interview come into the picture. They will be just one or two in number, but they would be having 40% of weightage. In Amazon, I have seen that non-technical interviews, their leadership principles are as important as the technical side of the things. Correct. So first thing to start from is STAR, situation, task, action, result. The non-technical interview is designed in a way that they will ask you a situation where you have performed X or Y kind of thing. So instead of directly giving them a one or two liner of a solution, you should structure your solution or your answer in a way of, this was the situation, this was the task given to me, I took this action, and that was the result. This is the whole structure of your answer. because this is a very famous technique, the star technique. If you imply this technique, then the interviewer will also consider, okay, this person is answering in a star technique, means he has prepared for technical, non-technical interview as well. That shows your dedication as well, right? Or and the second thing is always use statistics. Right. So like whatever project you're working on, just keep your statistics lined up. For example, in this case, n number of users were facing this problem. With my solution, customer acquisition for the company increased by X amount, average rating increased by Y amount on Play Store, let's say, and leading to increased profits of company by Z%. This statistics you can get from internally anywhere in the company, but or if you're a fresher, then your project is solving what problem and it is in what stage. If the project is live, what revenue you have generated, anything that you have done, that should come with the statistics. That creates a huge impact. Third thing is never say bad about your previous company. If you're a working professional and you're like the new company are asking about why are you leaving your old company, never say bad about previous company, because then it shows that you cannot be trusted as an employee, that you're bad mouthing the company when you're leaving. Correct. So don't bad mouth the company when you are giving the interviews. uh, the last thing is don't create fake scenarios. Like I said, that in the starting, they would give you a situation. For example, tell me about a time where you have mentored a junior in your team or in your college, right? If you have not done it, don't create fake scenarios. Just be uh, straight with the interviewer and said that I have not faced this situation. I have not mentored any of the junior. So like we can hop on to the next question. This is not a situation which I have performed. This is not a negative point. If you create a fake scenario and they would question you back, because interviewers are very, very skilled in getting truth out of the answer. So eventually they will catch you. So if you do not have faced the situation, do not create fake scenarios. Always be if you're not face the situation, just say so. This will not be a negative point. So that is basically the whole process, from starting from resume, reaching out to the recruiters, giving the OA, preparation for the interviews, and giving the interviews, technical as well as non-technicals. This is your whole cycle, which brings us to the end of the presentation of the interview preparation for FAANG.